On this third day of the FDP. We have today two sessions coming up. The expert speakers have already joined. And for today, the session coordinator will be taking you from here. I hope you have joined, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you, but your video is off. It will be better if you can switch on your video as well.
Am I visible?
Uh, Not yet. We can hear you, ma'am.
Now,
Your screen is dark. We cannot see you.
can you see me, sir?
Uh, we cannot see you, ma'am. Your video is not coming. We can hear you, but we cannot see you. No worries, ma'am. You can go ahead and let's start the session. Yes,
Yeah.
now we can see you, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all the respected dignitaries, esteemed resource persons, academicians, faculty members, research scholars, and dear participants. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the third day of this enriching faculty development program. I am Dr. Muthulakshmi R, your host for today's session. I currently reside at Ernakulam, Cochin, and will soon be joining an university as associate professor from June. My journey in academics has always been driven by the belief that nurturing the intellectual and personal growth of learners is one of the most meaningful contributions we can make to the society. Today's sessions are specially designed to strengthen our understanding of research methodologies, data analysis, and research data management areas, which are becoming increasingly important in academic and professional research. Research is not only about collecting information, it is about interpreting data meaningfully, drawing valuable insights, and presenting findings effectively. Keeping this objective in mind, today we have two highly distinguished academicians and experts who will guide us through important aspects of data analysis and visualization. Today's FDP session will cover two highly relevant and practical topics. Session 1, quantitative and qualitative data analysis technique. Session 2, hands-on session on research data management and visualization. I am confident that both the sessions will provide valuable insights in practical learning experience for all participants. Now, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our first distinguished speaker for today's session, Dr. Atul Sathe. Dr. Atul Sathe is a distinguished academician, researcher, mentor, and speaker, currently serving as Associate Professor at HR College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. With more than 18 years of rich experience in accountancy and finance education, he has made remarkable contributions to teaching, research, and academic leadership. He holds the distinction of being the first PhD and research guide in accountancy at HSNC University, Mumbai. He is also a CMA rank holder, Internet Qualified Professional. Dr. Sathe has ordered and co-authored 29 textbooks in areas such as mutual funds, technical analysis, financial accounting, and cost accounting. As a recognized SEBI smart trainer, he has conducted over 450 investor awareness programs and positively impacted more than 40,000 individuals through financial literacy initiatives. He is also widely recognized for his expert sessions on resume building and provides valuable consultancy and guidelines in research data analysis, helping scholars and researchers strengthen their analytical and research capabilities. His expertise in research, guidance, inclusivity, industry oriented education, and professional mentoring makes him an inspiring mentor and a highly respected speaker in academia and professional development. Today, Dr. Satya will enlighten us on the topic quantitative and qualitative data analysis technique. Sirs, we are truly honored by your presence today. On behalf of the organizing committee and all participants, I extend a warm welcome to you. Over to you, sir.
So good afternoon, everyone, and warm welcome. At outset, let me take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to all the organizers for having me here and showing that trust and confidence that I can add some value to the bandwidth of knowledge that you all already possess. I will be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge Dr. Muthalakshmi R for elaborate introduction. So thank you so much for giving elaborate introduction. And I'm confident that next 45, 50 minutes that I have in my hand, we will definitely have mutual learning and interaction going on through the chat box and other means as well. I was just going through the list of participants that we have. Many of us have already completed their PhDs. Some of you are in the process of doing your PhDs and research. Some of you are intending to register in the future for your research activities, etc., etc. So the diverse backgrounds are there as far as all attendees are concerned. So I will definitely make honest and humble efforts to share my thoughts and understanding in the context of data analysis, whether it is qualitative in nature or quantitative in nature. Please feel free to uh, raise your hands in case if you want to ask anything, or use the chat box more actively so that I can take the inputs and insights of the participants as well. At any given point of time, you want to stop me and ask any questions or queries, I will be more than happy to do that, because fitting in the data analysis part in 45 minutes or so is a huge challenge. So if you have any specific questions or any specific aspects, then I will be more than happy to address those as well in the entire process of this session that we are going to have. With this, let me just share the screen and load the PPT so that we can go ahead and start the session formally. Just want to check that the screen is perfectly visible and I'm audible to all of you all. You can just say yes in the chat box just to have.
Yes, sir, it's visible and we can hear you as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Amir sir. Thank you for having me here and showing that trust and confidence again. So,
Welcome, sir.
yeah. So the topic that is allotted is quantitative and qualitative data analysis, but I have taken a liberty to put qualitative aspect first and then look at the quantitative data analysis. So we will be definitely talking about both the aspects of data analysis as such. But before we go ahead, let me just set the tone with a small question, and please you can answer that or show your thoughts or indicate your thoughts in the chat box. So what is the general meaning and understanding of a term called data? So if anyone of you can just put it in a chat box, whatever your thoughts are there. So anyone would like to just share? Okay, information. That's what Ayush Chaudhary ji is saying. Okay. So when we talk about data, what exactly comes to gathered information for research? That's what Aditi ma'am is saying. Okay. Collection of things, raw information, collection of information. Okay. Excuse me if I'm not taking everyone's name because the answers are coming really thick and fast. Raw facts, absolutely right. The great insights are coming, collection of raw data. Okay, okay, fine. So there has been a lot of debate and there has been a lot of discussion always on the two terms many a times used interchangeably in a general sense also. So in a general sense, not in the research sense, if we talk about these two terms, like there is something called information and then there is something called data. And a lot of people use these terms interchangeably. Some people feel that data is something which is actionable in nature. Information is something which is general in nature. Some people have exactly opposite view. They say data is raw and just collection. When the purpose is given to data and it is classified and everything, then it becomes information, so on and so on. So there is a lot of ambiguity or a lot of confusion because of interchangeability of these two terms which are used in a general context. So, today's session, we are going to focus and concentrate on understanding why data analysis is crucial in research. We all know that it is crucial, but why it is crucial, what difference it makes, how it improves the quality of your research, how it allows you to take your research to the next level in terms of publications in better journals, etc., etc. We're going to define what is qualitative and quantitative analysis as far as data is concerned. We're going to look at the methodologies used for qualitative and quantitative data analysis. Some of the softwares and tools I will be just giving you information about. We will not be having any hands-on experience or any practical implications in today's session because of the proximity of time. I have used many of these softwares. I keep on using it for the data analysis assignments every now and then. So that could be some other session at some other given point of time. But looking at today's time constraint, I'll be just listing down some useful tools for all of you. Some of them are paid, some of them are even available free of cost, etc., etc. And if time allows, we will definitely go for some kind of a practical case studies and ethical aspects related to the process of data analysis. So I'm going to focus and concentrate entirely on the data analysis. So these are broad areas that we are going to look at and cover in next 35-40 minutes that have been allocated to me. I hope that there will be few takeaways for each one of you who is attending this particular session. As I said, you need to be a little more active and keep yourself more engaged in the chat box because I'll be throwing some questions. I'll be happy if I can hear some comments also from all of you. So let's begin with the conceptual understanding of the difference between the data that we talk about and the data information. So in simple words, the data is nothing but a collection of raw facts or collection of raw information, as we can always say. Because whenever we start collecting data, now whether it is through questionnaire or whether it is through any other tools for that matter, what is the objective of collection of data? Why do we collect data in the process of research? If I may ask, if anyone of you can just react to that in the chat box. Why do we collect data in the process of research? Okay. To evaluate, to interpret. Okay. Arbas Miyaji is saying for the process of evaluation, interpretation, anything else? To validate the research problem, analyze, to validate the hypothesis. And that's what Moshe Shah is saying. Okay, evidence of research to get more clarity. Okay, Fair. So there could be various purposes for which we are ultimately looking at credibility of the research. Okay, gather evidences. Okay, so there could be various reasons for which we collect data, but many a times the takeaway or the point that I want to discuss here, or the point I want to bring it to your notice here, is many a times we fail to give importance to what kind of data should be collected. So nowadays in research, if you look at it, the focus is on how to collect data. So people are focusing on questionnaire should be good. People are focusing on whatever interview questions I'm designing are good. Whatever survey method that I'm going to use, it should be structured, it should be formal, it should be more organized. But the key aspect in the entire process, whether it is a qualitative data that we are looking at or quantitative data that we are looking at, the key aspect that we are required to focus or required to keep in mind is what are my research objectives or what are my research questions. If the data is collected at the step of collection itself, if the intention is clear, then the analysis of data becomes easy process. So whether we are looking at qualitative data analysis or we are looking at quantitative data analysis, the first step begins with focused efforts on collection of data itself. So if the data is collected with the right intention, if the data is collected with the right instrument, then the analysis automatically becomes easy. So the whole process or the whole idea of looking at why we are looking at any process or any aspect related to data analysis, the beginning, the first step is to collect the correct data, correct the data which is matching with our research objectives and research questions. So rather than focusing on instrument, we have to focus on research problems or the research questions that we are required to identify and we are required to solve that particular problem. I can go on and talk about a lot of other aspects related to research questions and how research questions should be collected to the process of data collection, etc., etc. But that is not the agenda of today's discussion. That's not the topic that I'm going to deliver my talk upon. So moving on, we will also look at what are the different types of data that we are looking at. So I'm sure the word qualitative and word quantitative is evident enough for us to understand what is qualitative and what is quantitative. So if any one of you can just give me some examples of qualitative data as per your understanding. Examples of qualitative data. Now, today, I don't want to get into the types of qualitative data as whether it is nominal or ordinal or etc., because then I will have to start discussing about the research variables also. I'm just focusing only on the broad aspect of what is qualitative and what is quantitative. So I can just see, okay, the level of happiness, a level of satisfaction, fair, customer satisfaction, non-numeric kind of information, which is easy for us to interpret and understand. Open-ended questions, that's what Moksha Shah is like. So that's the instrument, that's a type of a question which will help us to collect qualitative data as such. So if I just ask that yesterday's IPL match, how exciting it was, rated on the scale of 1 to 5. So it's qualitative in nature or quantitative in nature. So obviously, any opinions that we are looking at, any kind of perceptions that we are looking at, any kind of feelings that we want to derive from our research is related to qualitative aspect of data. As rightly pointed out by Moksha Shah, one of the participants here, that open-ended questions usually help us to collect qualitative data. On the other hand, we have numeric data in the form of let's say the total number of participants. So as I'm today, as we are talking and I'm discussing, I can see around 137 participants who are present today. or how many students are there in the class, what are the weights of the students which are there, what is the IQ of each participant who is attending this particular session. Such kind of data that we keep on collecting is typically considered and treated as quantitative in nature. So qualitative data is non-numeric in nature, is a general misconception that we have. And quantitative data is numeric in nature in terms of numbers, in terms of something which is measurable, in terms of something which can be expressed in numbers. Is also considered as quantitative in nature. So in the due course, we will also get into some areas where even the numbers ultimately how those numbers can also become part and parcel of our qualitative data aspects as well. But the idea is that whatever data that we are collecting ultimately will help us to complete our journey from data to the information. So information is more structured, more organized, and more importantly, it will help us to get into some kind of a decision making or problem solving exercise. So let's say, for example, I'm just asking a question. I'm giving you two situations or two things. You just have to say A is more valuable or B is more valuable. So A thing is the set of data that we have for 100 students, their marks in the subject of mathematics. And in the B set, we have the insights related to how many students have scored more than 90, how many students have scored between 80 to 90, how many students have scored between 70 to 80, how many students have scored below 40. So A is more relevant or B is more relevant? You can just put it in the chat box, A or B. What is more relevant? Obviously, I don't have to even check the chat box. Everyone would probably say that it's B, and obviously for a reason that A is just data and B is information. So if I have to bridge up the gap between this data and information, then what I'm required to do is to use various tools, techniques, methods of data analysis. So to convert data into actionable information, the whole process that is carried out is popularly known as data analysis process. So we will take our discussion a little forward in order to understand what do we exactly mean by qualitative and quantitative. As we were just discussing about, qualitative deals with experiences, perceptions, opinions. In terms of a WH type of question, qualitative will try to answer how and why. It will not ask us how much or to what extent, to what percentage, how much is the quantitative change, etc., etc. Qualitative analysis or qualitative data for that matter will try to answer how and why this has happened. So say, for example, if I have to give you a very, very simple example for our understanding. So let's assume that there is a robbery in our society, or robbery in a bank for that matter, or robbery in your neighboring house for that matter. So obviously the police and other people will come into the picture and they will try to investigate this matter from different perspectives. So one of the perspective that they will be discovering is how much is the total valuables that have been stolen. So how much is the cash, how much is the gold that was stolen, how many other valuables have gone. So that is like collecting a quantitative data. And at the same time, the person whose house is being robbed must be thinking that why this has happened to me? What went wrong exactly? What were the loopholes that were there so that the thief can enter, a thief could enter my house? So when someone is trying to answer, someone is trying to question in terms of how and why, what that person is seeking is some kind of a qualitative data. But when someone is asking how much, to what extent, what we are looking at or what we are targeting is to collect some kind of quantitative data. I hope the basic idea for qualitative and quantitative data collection, the need for data and data analysis is clear. So I can take the decision forward. Can just say yes or no. That will be helpful for me to understand, and we can take the discussion forward then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Nisha, thank you for your feedback. Let's take a couple of more steps ahead and understand the difference between the qualitative data and the quantitative data. So let's say, for example, if I have to collect qualitative data, what are the options that I have? What are the tools or instruments that can be used for collecting the qualitative data? So interviews obviously is the first and one of the most common tool that is available. FGDs, that is focus group discussions, could be another way. So interviews are generally taken to understand the insights on something which is known. So you go for interviews when you want to collect data from someone who is expert in that particular field. So say, for example, if I'm doing my research on NPA, that is non-performing assets. Now, if I have to collect more insights and data related to NPAs, I will have to go to the bank manager or maybe a credit manager of a particular bank or a lending institution. So whenever the data is required to be collected, qualitative data is required to be collected from an expert, then we consider that kind of a data collection tool as interviews. So interviews are taken by people who will provide deep insights based on the practical knowledge that they have acquired in the process of their employment or in the process of through their experiences for that matter. On the other hand, the focus group discussions can happen with someone who are professionals, whether they are having particular practical experience or no. So say, for example, if I want to collect data about a child psychology, so I can obviously go to some people who have their professional expertise in the subject of psychology. Not necessary that each one of them who is there in that focus group is already working or already in the domain of child psychology. So the interviews usually focus on someone who is practically doing that, someone who has a practical understanding. Focus discussion groups are more for taking subject knowledge in terms of theoretical concepts that are available, and they are useful for our data for that matter. In some kind of a marketing related subjects, if we have to collect data, then observation techniques are also used. So let's say many of us probably would have seen some people when you go for a shopping malls or when you go to movie theaters or when you go to such kind of tourist public places also for that matter, some people are just sitting there and making some kind of notes. Now many times we wonder what they are exactly doing. Now, sometimes they may be just killing time, but many of them practically could be researchers who are taking note of how many males are visiting this place, how many females are visiting this place, how many people out of those are below 20, or how many are senior citizens, etc., etc. So, such kind of observations also ultimately result into a data collection technique as far as qualitative data is concerned. Now, some of you must be wondering that how many means quantitative in nature, but we are talking about qualitative data here. So, when we say how many are visiting, how many people are between this age and so on. So, not the number is not more relevant here, but their consumption pattern, their preferences is what is observed. So, a simple mechanism. So, if we have a sci-fi movie, then obviously the younger generation will be more interested to watch. But if we have a movie which is, let's say, related to mythology, then there is a high chance that we have someone from elder generation who are, more receptive or more respondent to that particular movie. So observations, these kind of observations and insights is what I was talking about when we are looking at any kind of qualitative data. So these are the data collection techniques. These are data collection instruments or methods that are used specifically for qualitative data. When we talk about quantitative data, there are primary sources available, there are secondary sources available. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard about data sets or databases as they are popularly known as. Anyone who is not aware of what is database or any couple of databases, you can just mention in the chat box. So I'll have a clarity that you're clear about what is databases or data sets. Everyone is clear
Yes,
with the
focus
concept.
Web of Science.
Someone said Web of Science. I think it was Nisha, madam. Web of Science is not the data set technically. Anyone who can give a little bit of information? Yes, Nisha, madam, if you want to add something. Everyone is aware of what is databases and data sets which are readily available. So when we talk about anything that is a data set or database, it is the numeric data that is available on the secondary sources. So say, for example, if I want to collect data on inflation, if I want to collect data on nowadays we are talking about the depreciation of Indian rupee against the dollar. So if I want to collect data for last 20 years, what was the pattern in which the currency has moved or the rupee has moved against dollars? So RBI website or Ministry of Finance websites will probably give us that kind of data. Supposedly, if I want to collect data which is related to the production of our Indian economy, then the Ministry of Commerce or the IIP data is available. So, like in economics, we have certain databases or data sets. In accountancy, we have databases, data sets. Similarly, in other domains also, such kind of databases are available. So medical research also, some kind of databases and data sets are available. So databases or data sets are primarily all published data, which is collected, gathered, structured, organized, and readily available for the purpose of research or any other utility for that matter. Of course, apart from that, the quantitative data can be collected through various aspects. Now, when we talk about the conceptual difference between quantitative data and qualitative data in terms of analysis, then qualitative data will go for some kind of a coding and themes, whereas quantitative data will use some kind of statistics and models. And that's where people will think about R, people will think about Python, people will talk about SPSS, people will talk about Java, so on and so forth. That is all about quantitative data analysis, and then thematic analysis and so many other softwares which I'm going to mention in some of my upcoming slides for your reference when we talk about qualitative data analysis for that matter. So various techniques and methods can be used. So thematic analysis is there, content analysis. Anyone who has heard about thematic analysis or who has done thematic analysis, if you can just say just yes or no in the chat box in terms of understanding what is thematic analysis. Okay, you can see some reactions coming in the chat box. Okay, okay, so many of okay. So all of us are saying that there is a limited understanding. See, in research, we never say there is no understanding. We have to always say it is significant or non-significant, whether the understanding that we're talking about is relevant or not relevant. So when we talk about thematic analysis, what it means in simple words is that the entire data collection that we have, that data collected is given to us and classified, segregated in various themes. So say, for example, in fact, thematic analysis or thematic presentation is also done when we are talking about our review of literature in the thesis for that matter. So what we do is the thesis are the review of literature, the literature that we are reviewing are grouped into group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. Now, from that group 1, there will be some insights that we will get. From group 2, there will be some insights that we will get. And based on those insights, we will be in a position to formulate some kind of a model or some kind of a working model that can be used and utilized for solving the research problem that we are ultimately looking at. So thematic analysis is nothing but reorganization of data into various themes and taking insights from each theme so that it can be compiled and modeled together to achieve the problem solution that we are ultimately seeking at. Now, NVivo, Atlas.ti, Macquera, these are three important or relevant tools that are used for the purpose of qualitative analysis for that matter. So these are three tools which qualitative analysis can be focused. Okay, so there is a question, explain thematic analysis with an example. Fair. So say for example that I'm research in the area of let's say I'll give you example of the title of my thesis for that matter. So it's related and relevant to uh, various aspects. So it was in the subject of accountancy and related to family-owned manufacturing businesses in the post-globalization era. So it was analysis of capital structure planning. So capital structure planning is one theme. Then manufacturing is another theme. Family-owned businesses is the third theme. Post-globalization era is the fifth theme. Also, there was a filter that all those companies which I was analyzing were Nifty 500 listed companies. So Nifty 500 is another theme. Now, all the information or insight that I have got related to Nifty 500 companies is put together. All post-globalization capital structure planning strategies are put together in another theme. All family-oriented businesses ka capital structure planning strategies is another theme. All manufacturing businesses ka capital structure planning is another theme. So based on such kind of themes that we develop and classify and organize our data, from each theme you will get certain variables, from each theme you will get certain insights, from each theme you will get some information which then can be combined and put together in a diagrammatic form or a model format. That is called thematic analysis. Because there is no quantitative data available for such kind of qualitative aspects that we are covering, then putting in the model, putting in some kind of a working model becomes important as part of our research output that we are expecting. I hope I have answered the question with small example of what you mean by thematic analysis. If everyone is happy with thematic analysis understanding, then I can proceed further. Okay. Fair. Now, the next aspect that we are looking at is content analysis. And with the purpose, I'm spending little extra time on qualitative analysis because quantitative analysis is always talked about, SPSS and correlations and chi-square test and this test. A lot of people always talk about it. So, but content analysis or thematic analysis, like we just realized thematic analysis is something which not everyone is aware of. So that's the reason I thought that I will bring this particular aspect of qualitative analysis also. That's why I've named my presentation also as qualitative first and quantitative later. So when we talk about this content analysis, it is the process is little similar to what we mean by thematic analysis, but the key difference is in the process of content analysis, we don't classify them into a particular theme. What we try to do is, so many of you known to everyone. Just say yes or no. There's absolutely no harm in saying no, I don't know about it. That's why we all are here. Okay, let me see what responses we have. Okay, so bibliographic analysis, most of us, those at least who are in obviously replying in the chat box are already aware. So this bibliometric analysis ultimately creates some kind of new ideas, creates some kind of new concepts that were not discussed in the literature that we have already reviewed or the insights that we have already got from the data that we have collected. So content analysis fundamentally develops all the ideas, thoughts, insights, perceptions that we have derived from the data that we have collected, which is qualitative in nature. So thematic analysis requires grouping of data, qualitative data. Content analysis as a whole is taken into consideration, and the researcher tries to develop something out of. So it is more of a predictive analysis that we are talking about. So thematic data does not predict anything, but content analysis ultimately looks at predicting something out of the entire content or the entire data that has already been collected. I will keep grounded theory little backdrop for future discussions, but I would focus on narrative and discourse analysis. Now, this narrative and discourse analysis is usually used in a data in the research areas which are related to literature. So when the PhDs or research is done on previous in the subject area of English, literature, history, philosophy, etc., it is always required to be viewed. It is always required to be studied. It is always required to be focused and understood in the context of society at that given point of time. So in a social context, in a political context, in economic context, for the era in which that literature was written. So if you are comparing 2-3 different novels, even if you're comparing 2-3 different films of different eras for that matter, so the context in that particular time period becomes more important. So narrative and discourse analysis basically deals with drawing inferences, drawing conclusions, and insights based on the social, economical, political, financial, and whatever other context that we have. So that's a different facet. I thought I will bring it to your notice in terms of the data analysis technique. Now, we have understood what is qualitative, or what are the methods, or what are the techniques that are used for qualitative data analysis. Let's also look at the workflow, the flow in which the entire process has to go. So it could be planning and collection of data. Then we are looking at transcript recordings, open coding, thematic coding, analyze, validation, and then finally reporting. This is a general workflow. I don't want to focus more or concentrate more on this flow because many of us have already gone through this particular process, or we have gone through this kind of mechanism. But just for a quick understanding that this is a flow. So in case someone who has not done qualitative data analysis, this is the flow that they all need to keep in mind. When we talk about quantitative analysis, now many of us have already gone through these kind of aspects. Descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis in simple words is nothing but representation of data in terms of simple aspects like frequency, percentage, cumulative percentage. In fact, we are also looking at calculation of basic statistics like mean, median, etc. Now, when we are doing research related to social sciences, this descriptive analysis becomes more relevant and important. As I mentioned in qualitative part, we took example of some literature or philosophy or history, etc. Here, I will take example of some social studies, social sciences for that matter. So let's say if we are talking about consumer behavior or other aspects, then percentage and frequency and the standard deviations and variances, etc., becomes more relevant and more important for that matter. Of course, how to make data visualization, how to do the presentations, what graphs are available. I think that is the agenda which is reserved for the next session. So I'm not going to talk about data representation and data visualization for that matter. Nowadays, there are AI tools which are available. There are various techniques which are available to do the better presentation of our data that we have collected. But in terms of the analysis part, primarily and fundamentally, it is descriptive statistics. And then we are looking at inferential analysis, popularly known as hypothesis testing. That's where the use of softwares like SPSS, Python, R, or Jamovi also for that matter, which automatically come into the picture. And then there is a simple hypothesis testing. There are multiple levels of hypothesis testing that we are looking at. So according to the hypothesis, we have to go for some kind of regression models, multiple regressions, and then creating a model like structure equation modeling, etc., etc. So because this is my key area of interest and I keep on doing a lot of data analysis for researchers, I might get carried away with these terminologies. So I will restrict myself just to give you basic insights related to that. If any one of you are willing to stay connected for more queries and questions related to data analysis, or they seek any kind of guidance or consultancy, I will be more than happy to help them out uh, at any given point of time. So as far as quantitative data collection workflow, data processing workflow is concerned, we talk about designing surveys and questionnaires, then prepare the data sets, do the exploratory analysis, run the statistical test for hypothesis testing or inferential analysis. And then finally, you interpret the results and do the visualization and data presentation through various graphs and other techniques that are available. So that's the quantitative workflow usually taken into consideration. So the idea of today's session was to give you more insights related to A, what is data, B, what is quantitative data and qualitative data, what are the different options and techniques that are available. So I have not gone into much of the details or a lot of technical jargons also for that matter, like what is discrete data, what is continuous data, what is nominal and ordinal and scale and ratio, etc., etc. I have purposefully avoided using these technical terms so that those who have just begun their journey are also conceptually clear in terms of the fundamental difference between data analysis for qualitative data and data analysis for quantitative data for that matter. But what I want to introduce here before I move towards summing up of this particular session is the concept of mixed method. So in types of research, we have seen quantitative research, qualitative research, and mixed methods. So today we are in a general context. I've understood what you mean by mixed methods. So when we talk about mixed methods, it is not only the quantitative research and qualitative research is combined. It is the data collected in qualitative sense, data collected in quantitative sense, how that can be used as a complementary set of data to each other to enhance the effectiveness of my research is nothing but adopting a mixed method. So many of us believe that, okay, now my research has to be the best in the world. So I will prepare questionnaires also. I will collect data. I will do the hypothesis testing. I will collect data from interviews also. I will do the surveys also. I will go for observations also so that it will be enhanced. But many times the mistake that we end up doing in this entire process is that we look at the qualitative data collection method or instrument independently, and we look at the quantitative data collection instrument independently. Both are presented, both are incorporated in our research, and we believe that we have done a mixed method approach. But if we are in a position to integrate both, if we are in a position to think about qualitative data instrument and quantitative data instrument in sync with each other, then in real sense, I would say that we have used some kind of a mixed method as far as our research is concerned. So on one hand, you are talking about hypothesis testing. On the other hand, you are also talking about thematic analysis and how hypothesis testing results and thematic testing results coincide, complement to each other, or maybe sometimes they contradict to each other also for that matter. That should be highlighted. And in that is done, then only we will consider that we have actually used mixed method research. And just to make it a point, going little away from what I was asked to do, is today, if you want to publish your papers in Scopus Index journals, if you want to publish your papers in ABDC category journals, mixed method approach or mixed method research is one of the most important aspect, or one of the most important key aspect that is required to be kept in mind as a researcher if you want to enhance the research visibility. See, we all have been doing it in a peer-reviewed journal, conference proceedings also earlier days. Nowadays, we are talking about UGC listed journals. Now, CARE list is already withdrawn, but UGC listed journals are still there. But if you want to think beyond that and mark our presence in at an international and a global platform, uh, improve your resume or improve your CV for that matter, improve your research visibility. Now, how to improve your research visibility, policy IDs, any other aspects are there. That is another area of discussion. I don't want to get into that. But if at all you want to highlight your research achievements or you want to, build a strong research profile, then mixed method approach is definitely going to be very, very important. Now, before I move towards summing up today's discussion, I've just listed down some of the qualitative analysis tools that can be used. I will keep this slide on for a minute or something. If someone wants to take a picture or someone wants to take it down, that's all fine and perfectly okay with me. NVivo is the most common one. Atlas is the very recent, not very recent, but quite recent tool, which is an AI-based tool that is available. Now, there can be a question that to what extent we can use AI in our data analysis, etc., etc. I personally feel that use of AI for data analysis is absolutely for data visualization and perceptions, and for the qualitative data analysis, use of AI is less harmful compared to quantitative data analysis for that matter. Then you can go for RQDA or Targeter, which is a free alternative available. So most of the other ones are the subscription based. Some of them have only institutional subscriptions. Some of them are open for the individual subscriptions also for that matter. So MaxQuada is the mixed method support. So if you are doing any mixed method research, then MaxQuada is the tool that you have to look at. It's very easily available, but institutional IDs or institutional subscriptions are more preferred because they are not very cheap in terms of the cost that is involved. As far as quantitative analysis tools are concerned, we are looking at R, which is freely available, Python. Stata is econometric focus, so more of economics and finance related research can be done through Stata. So those who are doing company analysis or stock market related analysis, pricing of shares and securities, capital asset pricing models, and other corporate finance aspects, Stata is the most preferred software. For social sciences, more or less, the SPSS, obviously the name itself has social sciences involved in it. Excel, Advanced Excel, and Jamovi for basics. They are free softwares which are available. I'm sure everyone attending this is already exposed to Excel and Advanced Excel, but there are a lot of tools which are available in Excel, which will be helpful for a basic kind of statistical testing and quantitative data analysis for that matter. So I've just again classified them as we discussed earlier, like a thematic thing. So I've classified which ones are commercial, which ones are freely available, which ones are suitable for which kind of research for that matter. So based on the budget and research need or research objectives or research questions that we are answering, the choice of tools should be made. Many of us in India, to be very honest, for quantitative data analysis at least, SPSS is the most common thing that is used. Nowadays, Jamovi is also used. People talk about R and Python, but not a lot of people actually end up using this R Studio and Python for that matter. SPSS is like one of the most commonly used this thing. So I'm not saying that what is right or wrong. What I'm trying to say here is that depending on what is the nature of your research, what is the fundamental problem that we are solving through this research exercise should be the base. And of course, I am a finance person. Of course, the budget that is allocated to us for research activities. These are the two parameters that we need to always keep in mind while choosing the correct technique for that matter. I think we are moving towards the end of this particular session. So if there are any questions, I'll just keep 5 minutes for questions or comments, thoughts, feedback for that matter. So there are a couple of case studies that I did discuss in terms of the flow, one for the quantitative and one for the qualitative, but we can essentially skip that. Visualizing is the agenda which is there for the next session that we have. So obtaining information, so a little bit of ethics in terms of data analysis. This is the last aspect in one or 2 minutes I will cover up so that I don't take out or I don't eat away the time of the other speaker who is also waiting for the next session to start. So a lot of us have research ethics committees in our respective universities or institutions. So if you are doing any kind of a research, approval from research committee or research ethics committee is very, very important. Consent is very, very important. Documentation and other aspects should be taken care so that there is no question mark on the entire process of research that we have carried out. The credibility of the aspects that we need to talk about. So these are some reading and resources that you can essentially look at. We can look at SWAYAM and NPTEL courses on research methodology and research publication and ethics. The Kothari is like a Bible of research methodology. So that is the Indian textbook, a reference book is available. The YouTube videos are available for R and NVivo, Python, etc., etc. A lot of government websites are there for collection of data. So I humbly request all the participants to make use of that. There are some lot of senior members also who are attending this. I hope I have fulfilled their expectations and I have at least given one or two new things as a takeaway from the session. So thank you for having me here and showing the trust and confidence. We have 2 minutes. If there are any comments or questions, I will be more than happy. These are my contact details. You can stay connected on, you can connect with me on LinkedIn also if you wish to. The mobile numbers are there. And an humble appeal to share the feedback of this particular session. Right now in the chat box also, you can share your thoughts or comments. I will be more than happy to read. And if you can just use the technology and take a moment out to, scan the QR code that you can send the screen and fill up the feedback for my session, I will be really happy. I can see a lot of thank you and other aspects coming in. If you have any insights or comments and a fair feedback as a takeaway for me from this session, I will be more than happy. Any thoughts, comments? We can wait for a minute or two. Otherwise, that's about it from my side. Humble request again, you can just scan the QR code on the screen and fill up the feedback form as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Atul Sathe, sir, for such an insightful, informative and enriching session.
Just there's a question here. So Dr. D.T. Priya, is that the slide that you're looking at?
Can you repeat, sir?
So there is a question from Dr. D.T. Priya in the chat box. Can you share the last slide? Is that so, Dr. D.T. Priya, is this the last slide you're looking at, or any other slide you want to just have a look at?
Sir, I think they are asking for that scan.
No, the previous one, sir, the previous one. This one, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll be more than happy to stay connected with all of you on LinkedIn. Also, you can connect. There are a lot of information sources. No, the previous off scan.
Priya ma'am, is this the slide? You want to know sir's details?
The previous one, sir, the last slide, the last content slide.
This one, design suggestions?
Yes.
But this I didn't explain also. Maybe this one is what they're looking at.
Yeah, this is the last slide.
Content slide.
No, sir, the previous one. The design slide.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, exactly
Yes.
this. This.
Okay. Okay. So thank you. Closing remarks from you, sir, or any minutes then. Otherwise, then it will make way for the next speaker also.
So thank you so much. Your valuable guidance on qualitative and quantitative data analysis techniques has certainly enhanced our understanding of research methodology and analytical approaches. The practical example and explanation shared by you will undoubtedly help researchers, academicians, and scholars in their academic journey. We sincerely thank you for taking out your valuable time and sharing your expertise with all of us. When we go, we take this in our hand. Qualitative means how and why, quantitative means how much and to what extent. Now, above qualitative and quantitative mixed methodology. We will now open the floor for a short question and answer session. Participants who have any questions or queries related to today's topic may kindly post them in the chat box or raise their hand for interaction.
So meanwhile, I request participants to just scan the QR code and please provide the feedback. So I will also have some learning insights and takeaways and improve myself in the coming sessions.
Sir, there is a question in the chat box. Can we have a PDF of this?
So this PPT, I think, is what they are referring to.
Yes, all the PPTs and the recording of the sessions will be shared after the 5 day of the FDP is completed. Along with the certificate that we send, we usually send the links to the PPTs as well as the recording of all the 5 sessions.
So I believe there are no other questions. Should I stop sharing them accordingly?
Yes, ma'am, we can move ahead now.
Sir, can we start with the second session?
Yes, yes, please.
So just to say, want to say thank you to all the participants and signing off and have a great day ahead.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you for
Thank you so
joining.
much. Thank you, everyone, for your active participation. We shall now move towards our second session for the day. In today's research environment, effective research data management and visualization are extremely important for producing quality research outcomes. Proper organization, analysis, and visual representation of data not only improve clarity, but also make research findings more impactful and meaningful. So, today's session 2, the topic is hands-on session on research data management and visualization. The speaker is Dr. Judith Gomes. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our second esteemed speaker for today, Dr. Judith Gomes. Dr. Judith Gomes is an accomplished academician and researcher currently serving as assistant professor in Department of Management at Billai Institute of Technology, Dar. With over 17 years of teaching and research experience, her areas of expertise include marketing, consumer behavior, business analytics, and research methodology. She has made significant contribution to academia through more than 25 research publications in reputed journals, including Springer, Scopus, and UGC Care listed journals. Dr. Gomes is actively involved in academic leadership, accreditation activities, curriculum development, and faculty mentoring. Her research interests focus on digital ethics, consumer behavior, sustainability, and data driven decision. She has presented research papers at prestigious institutions such as IIM Raipur, IIM Nagpur, and has participated in FDPs and workshops organized by IIT Delhi, IIT Mumbai, and AICTE. Her innovative teaching methods and commitment to research excellence makes her a distinguished speaker and an inspiring academic professional. Today, she will conduct a highly useful hands-off session on research data management and visualization. Ma'am, we are delighted to have you with us today. On the behalf of the organizing committee and all participants, I extend a heartfelt welcome to you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, Amit sir. Okay.
Good afternoon.
So already I have heard about Dr. Atul sir, whatever he has told, that was exactly what we are dealing with currently. We are actually what the topic I am going to cover, that is data research management as well as with the visualization. We till now we are talking only about the quantitative research is very important. We have to learn the multiple types of test statistical tools, and which has been generally we heard till now. It is very important to learn that, and because we are from the commerce and management background, so we have to implement all these things in our thesis, in our research, whatever we are going to have, and even the research paper we are going to see on a daily life. But the matter is, currently, more than the quantitative research, the qualitative research is more like on a demand, or we can say the quantitative research are more implemented, or it is more understandable in the current scenario. What we will be going to cover with this particular, I'm going to share my screen. Sir, I need a permission to share my screen.
Okay, ma'am, just one moment. Technical team, can you please give the permission to share the screen? Technical team, please give permission and let us know when the permission is given. Yes, ma'am. You can continue.
Okay. Okay. As the topic is the research management and visualization, we will talk about this in complete this 1 hour about the research data management, how the data management has been done. More of the definitions we already know because we are working on this field since a long time, and all the participants, I hope they are researchers, so they used to have use these particular terminologies all the daily basis, because we all are the particular people, those who have been involved in a research. So still we are going to connect with the session. The first, the introduction to research data management. Second, we are going to cover with the data organization, cleaning and quality control. The third, we are going to cover with the why visualization is more important right now in a current scenario, rather than of only having a quantitative type of research. The next, we are going to cover with the visualization principles. We will try to have a demo on Microsoft Excel pivot tables and charts. Many of us already know this, but still we are going to have a brief introduction about these things. And the next, we are going to talk about Power BI interactive dashboard. Currently, what I can see, like the Power BI or the Tableau, you can say either of these visualization softwares or the dashboard creation applications are right now working so well in this particular research field. They are being going to provide a so interactive type of data charts, graphs, and whatever the bar graphs, the maps, what we are going to make. These visualization tools are basically helping us much more to getting advanced and to get a very within a fraction of seconds a particular visualization in our desktops. The next, we are going to have the best practices and ethics, as well as the question answer we are going to take. The first, from the introduction of the research data management. Basically, research data management, we know very well. What is the data management? It is only the management of the data set. But for a researcher, what is the data set? The data set is actually what we have collected. Whatever, according to our research, according to our field, according to our content, what we want to gather from the market. It can be quantitative, it can be qualitative. Again, the matter is the quantitative and qualitative, these two definitions must be very clear. The quantitative will be always matter on the quantity. The qualitative will be always matter on the content, what we are going to collect. Basically, when we have heard about the big data, and the big data terminology is associated with basically qualitative of when you are going to have a big data in front of you, the number of information in the market, whatever it has been available. And when we are going to extract the information out of that big data, that time we are going to use this visualization tool much more better than the quantitative data, because quantitative data is only going to work on whatever the information our respondent has given, or whatever the information from the respondent we have collected. But the qualitative database is going to give us the data management of the information which is not even till now emerged, or which is not even till now created in the visualization, or the charts graphs has been not created. That time the qualitative data, the visualization is more going to be utilized. Now the data management, what it is, actually it matters the how we organize, how we store, how we preservation, and the sharing of the database. Because again, if you will go with the Stringer or Emerald or elsewhere type of journals, everywhere with what we can see over here, they always ask you to share the database for which you have created the research paper, for which you have done the research. They ask for the database. So the sharing of you must be always ready, whether it is a qualitative type of database or it is a quantitative type of database. You must be always ready to share that particular information with anyone. That's why the copyright has been available with us. कि आप जैसी copyright करवाते हैं, since it will be you can share it on any of the platform or any of the particularly uh, port, portfolio or wherever you want to. So now for this particular research database management, you must be ensured of the FAIR. It is again by the Emeralds or the SCI or SSCI or Scopus or whatever Web of Science, all type of platform, these particular remarkable journals are been telling you you have to be very fair. The FAIR actually it is the data set must be findable. It must be accessible with through anyone who is going to ask for it. It has to be introspectable, then it has to be reusable. That means once the researcher is going to publish the information, it has to be available for the public to make it more means futuristic, to make it more developmental in the future researches. For this database management, we are having three things what we have to do. The first thing, when we are going to collect the data collection, that is how we are going to collect the data. It can be either a primary source or it can be a secondary source. We know all these definitions. The primary source basically with the surveys, interviews, experiments, whatever the database we are having at the quantitative type of, or whatever we have collected. And when we are talking about secondary information will be anything which has been already published or available in the market. Whatever the source of data collection will be, that will be going to be managed here and with for the futuristic research. After collection of the data, what we have to do, we have to store the data. The data storing is not only the storing of the data, just we have keeping it. We have to keep that information just though we can share. If we cannot share that particular data, it is not of a use of keeping that particular data within our systems or for our research. The matter is, for data storage, there are various particular cloud storage, there are various secure repos, there are various version controls, and like the Git or the OS operating systems are being available to store the data. What we are been doing currently, even we are having drives and multiple things. After the storage, we have to go with the data sharing. So these things are the very basic, which we know that when the data management is been done, we have to collect the data, we have to store the data, and then we have to share that particular data with anyone, those who are going to desire for it. Now, when we come to the data life cycle, the data research life cycle is again going to have the planning of how we are going to collect, what are our needs, what were the objectives, how we are going to create that particular, we are going to use this particular data in our decision making process. The first thing, we have to plan out. Then we have to collect that information again as per the primary or secondary, whatever been the desirable method of we have selected. Then we have to processes. The process exactly means the coding, the cleaning, validating, and transforming of the data. Then we have to analyze this, again the qualitative or the quantitative methods, whatever it has been available. Then we go with statistical tool for the quantitative data, that is different. We are going to have the qualitative methods different, like the content analysis we are having, visual representations we are having. Then the qualitative data will be again going to be analyzed with as per the desired tool. After analyzing, what we are going to do, we are going to publish in a form of a research paper, maybe in a form of a thesis, maybe in a form of any type of database form, or maybe in a type of any of the report we are going to publish. And after that, we are going to preserve that particular thing in the backup for future work or for the transfer of the information from one person for the other particular researchers for their developments. So this is a basic life cycle which we are generally referring for our research purpose. When we come to the next one, that the data organization, cleaning, and quality control. Generally, when being a researcher, daily basis way, we are been working so much in the different forms, in the different type of files. The first foremost thing that one day we are been saving the data that must be identified in another day or in another system or whenever it is going to be transferred. For that, the first foremost thing, that is the file naming conventions. It is not just so particular big thing what we are going to generally think of it. But the matter is, file naming conventions are very important when we are being having a data management. So for that, the first thing, that is the file naming convention. It must be very descriptive. It must know that what type of file is being saved, where, and the particular the time period, as well as the particular versions we are being saving it, and in a particular folders. For example, sometimes what we have, the same research paper, when we are been submitting to some journal, and it has been going to be rejected. We were working on that particular research paper, and from a long time, many of the particular content we have updated, and we have created a folder for that particular thing. But once it got rejected, now what we are going to do, we are going to edit on the same paper again and again and again to make it up to that level of next submission. But what generally we must do, we must create a separate folder for all the type of database, and whenever it is been going to be used. When we have edited some major particular points in a database, we must have a new folder. Again, the thing, we must have a new folder and with the exact particular date or the timeline or the versions we are going to create for it. That will be again going to save our time to search the data. That is going to save our particular effort to identify or recognize what type of information was edited on which platform. For that, again, Microsoft Excel is having certain type of tabs also where we can record all the changes, whatever it has been there. Well, that is again a futuristic thing. The next further is 5 data cleaning steps. The first data cleaning, the thing is when we are going to get the data, whatever type of data, whether it is quantitative and qualitative. Again, any type of data, the first they require the cleaning process. The cleaning process, that means every data has to be cleaned. As it is, we cannot implement. As it is, we cannot create any of the charts or graphs or visualizations or any type of statistics. Every time it requires a cleaning. The first thing that is to identify the duplicate entries. We have to identify the duplicate entries. Second, that is the handling missing values. If there are certain missing values, if you will talk about SPSS, SPSS is having a particular format of finding out the missing values and replacing it. Similarly, Excel can find you the missing values and you can delete that particular respondent, or you can delete that particular cell, or you can easily identify how many cells are being having a missing values in Excel. So similarly, in different particularly software, you are having an identification of the missing value process. So for that, again, in a Power BI also you are having a missing value options. You can identify the missing values and you can replace that particular thing completely. So there are various formats which has been already available to find out the missing value. After finding out the duplicate entries, the second thing that we have to find, that is the missing values, and to replace either or to just delete the particular content, but wherever the missing values are be there. Next is the standardized formats, again to check the dates formats, to take the units whenever it is a topic talking about price or certain income or certain currency type of things. We must know that the formats must be appropriate before going to be utilized in the visualization, any type of software. Next is identify the treat outliners, that is the factors. If you are having a different factor categorizations, if you are having a different demographic factors, even you are having a different dependent, independent factors, before implementing any of the visualization tool or any of the database management, any of the statistical tool, you must know very well what are the parameters I am going to keep as a dependent variable, as independent variables, as a particularly moderate variables, or maybe a mediator variables. You must know very well. That is the outliner. You, before going toward the visualization or statistical tool, we must know very well what is the particular outliners we are having. The next, that is the validate data against original source from wherever. Again, this is one of the particular point which I always used to find out when the Springers or Emeralds or elsewhere or any of the reputed journals are being asking for the research papers, and they have been keeping a straight note on that. Every original source must be validated below the figures or the tables or any of the database. If you have taken some, or any of the diagrams, if we have taken from any of the research paper or any of the future, any of the previous studies, it has to be always validated. Even the, or in the secondary data, it has to be validated with the other sources. And even if you are taking with the primary data, it has to be validated with the reliability and validity test or something. So that means all the type of database has to get through this particular process, that is validity of the data or validate the data, whether it has been from where it has been taken. Now, when we come to with the next step, that is next slide, that is data organization and cleaning quality control. Under that, the thing is data cleaning tools. We know very well there are multiple types of softwares, there are multiple types of websites, those are been helping us out to do the research. But mainly what, according to our database, according to our particularly information, whatever we are having with us, we can have the cleaning tools as per our requirements. whatever the things are being required, whatever the particular types of content are being required for future work, we can have this particular type of cleaning through the various tools. The first, that is the Microsoft Excel. We know very well the filters are been there, the pivot table is been there, the conditional formattings are been there, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP are been there. There are multiple type of sorting is been there, from which we can clean the tools and we can identify whether the sheet is perfectly prepared for utilize in the visualization or statistical tool. For example, when you are going to implement any of the database into SPSS, when we import that particular thing, again, the SPSS require each and every column named properly, on the basis of which they are going to create the statistics, or whatever the chi-square, z-square, z-test or t-test, whatever we are going to implement. The Microsoft Excel is again going to help us out to clean this particular thing. Second, we are having a Google Sheets. Again, it is a online particular tool which we are having Google Sheets. That is again going to tell us how the how much the database has been clean and how to create that clean that particular database through filters and the cloud-based particular options of conditional formatting and the collaborative sheets and so on. Similarly, we are having the third option, that is Open Refine. If you will go with the online particular, with the Google search, you can find out Open Refine is there. That is again completely free. That is going to clear all the particular database for you for statistical or for the visualization purpose. Next is the Python. Again, for the pandas, in the Python, you can have a coding. And again, Python and R, as we know that these two are the coding softwares. So when you know codes, when we know the particular things about how to access that, it is much more easier than any of the particular other type of non-coded type of visualization and softwares, or any type of other softwares. If you are well known about Pythons or R Studio to run it, and it will become very easy to go with the data cleaning process. These are the few commands in the Python, that is drop na, fill na, deprecated and describe when we are going to implement this. So we are going to clean our database. Similarly, in R Studio, there are filters, mutate, name, omit, and arrange. You can have these particular filters for cleaning of the database. Now, there is one question, that why data visualization matters nowadays. Can anyone answer all this? Why data visualization matters nowadays? Because from here we are going to start with the data visualization. We will move faster because maybe we are going to have the Power BI exercise or Excel exercise also. Quick understanding. Definitely, sir, definitely. Quick understanding. Anything else? Why data visualization matters? Why we are talking right now about too much about visualization?
Data, exploded data we have.
Exploded data we have. Okay, we can say, yes, one more was there in the chat. That was to identify relationship between fields. Exactly. What else? What else? Why data visualization matters nowadays? Though charts, graphs, it was already prepared since we are, I don't know, since the Excels are been there, we are been making charts, graph, but we are talking much more about visualization nowadays. Why so? Simplify complex data. Exactly. It is going to give a simplification to the complex data. It becomes so easy from wherever field we are, whether the people are from physics, they are from chemistry, they are from the engineering backgrounds, they are from any type of complex type of backgrounds, or which has been not understandable by any of the normal individual or a general public. These visualizations are actually going to make us helping to understand very complex type of information in a very simplification form. If you will see, the human brains are 60,000 x times easily understanding the visualization than a text. Text, whatever we are been reading out, we are been reading books, we are reading multiple websites, we are reading multiple content, we don't remember. But we are going to, if we are going to see a single visualization, we are going to remember for next 3 days that particular visualization and that particular impact. That means it is a very easily recognizable, easily understandable, easily simplification data, whatever the things are, even the reach the reader effectively. Yes, exactly. Hidden patterns can be find out. Clarity, precision, that will give more specification. Again, the thing is, again, as the Atul sir has said, ki quantitative data, we were like talking about always quantitative data. We are not talking about qualitative data. But the matter is, quantitative data will be understandable by only the person who has been able to read that particular type of data, who is going to understand what is null hypothesis, what is alternative hypothesis, how it has been predicting the information, how the difference between or the correlations or the relations are being identified. But the qualitative interpretations, like the visualizations, it become more easy to understand by any of the raw person, anyone who is going to be just even a pictures, even a particular child, if you will make up that particular child can see that graph or the chart, and just you will define this has been happening in this, or this map has been showing this, and they are going to recognize it. That is the beauty of visualization, actually. That's why visualization matters right now, because of the lack of time, because of the less effort we are going to make for number of information to be collected, to read it, to recognize it. These visualization is going to help us to remember the information, what is happening in daily life, when the market has been changing continuously. In every second, the database has been changing.
ଆପଣ
Every
ଯୋଉଟା
second,
ହଉଛି ଏବେ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି
every second the information are being circulating,
FDP
number of things. So these visualization tools are only going to help us for identify how the market has been changing very easily. Now, as I have said, the visual advantage, what is this? The 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual. What we see, we remember. We don't remember much when we read, but what we see, we remember. That's why these films or the videos or the graphics representation attract us more, because the matter is we remember that. We will still remember the 10 years before or 20 years before, whatever movie we have seen, whatever the particular advertisement we have seen, whatever the content we remember that. That's why the visualization or visual impact is more fruitful than the quantitative impact. Next one is 60,000x. As I've told you, it is very 60,000x times faster than text to remember in our mind. Next is, it is 65% of the people are visual learners. Out of 100% people, 65% are visual learner. And even as I've told you, 3 days, whatever graph, whatever visual impact, if something is in our memory, it will be remembered for 3 days. And out of the content, we are only going to have the 10% text remember or the retention in our mind. Now the next one is, before moving towards the next particular question is that do you think that the same database, a different database can give a same result at a time? Different database. All the database are different, but when we are going to calculate the statistics of mean, median, mode or something like that, we are going to get the same type of content. Same mean of the 4 database, same correlation of the 4 database, same variance of the 4 data. Is it possible? Is it possible? Is it possible? Yes, exactly, it is possible. How it has been possible? The matter is, statistics is going to provide us only the information which has been already available, which has been calculated out of the data set. The mean can be same of 4 data sets, as in the next time. The mean of the 4 data sets are same. Mean of X is same, mean of Y is same, mean of variance of X is same, and the correlation even of the same. But the first database was of 50 respondent, second database or of 200 respondent, third database is of 400 respondent, and fourth database is of 500 respondent. But they have given the same mean, mean of X, Y, variance, and correlation. That means when the visualization works, when the statistics work, they can give you exact the same type of mean, variance, correlation, mode, or standard deviation, whatever, same of or different type of database. But when this will come to visualization, when the same database is going to implement into the visualization softwares, it is going to give you different parameter, different type of design, different type of visual, different type of charts, graphs, or diagrams in different ways. The reason behind that is this particular type of or any type of diagrams are going to evaluate the number of database, who has been filled that, the particular from where it has been filled, the area they are going to refer, the multiple type of different type of parameters at a time when we are going to implement it. The matter is when the visualization is going to be implemented, they are going to identify every time the different diagrams for each and every type of database. Whether the database is going to give you the same mean or the same variance, correlation, or any type of statistical tool. But the matter is the visualization is going to give you every time the different type of graphs, different type of patterns. And this was identified by Anscombe Quartet on that. He is a statistic researcher. He is going to he has identified this in 1976, that when the same statistics has been even there, the visualization is going to give you the different patterns all the times. This is the difference with the visualization and the statistics, whatever. Now, we are talking about visualization again and again. What is visualization? Basically, we have seen just when we watch something, when we look into something, and it must be look beautiful with the diagrams or something like that. But actually, there are two things. One is analysis, other one is analytics. What is analysis? When we talk about quantitative type of study more and qualitative less, we can say that is a data analysis type of techniques are being used. When we talk about analytics, it is more about visualizations, more about data, how the data is being represented rather than how the data is being generated. So that makes a difference of the analytics. In research, basically, we talk about data collection. Then we talk about the cleaning of the data. Then we talk about the analysis of the data. That will be with the quantitative data mainly. And then we talk about the data visualization. That means whatever statistical tool, whether you are going to have the factor analysis, regressions, correlations, or any type of statistical tool we are going to implement, how we are going to represent, that is the data visualization, is going to give us better decision making, better identification of the outcomes, better identification of the findings, rather than only going to implement with the data analysis. Data analysis is going to help us up to the statistical outcomes, but visualization is going to help us about how these statistics can be represented for a layman, or for the decision making, or for the general market scenario, how we are going to take that particular decisions in any type of field. Maybe we are from the marketing, finance, HR, or different type of education streams. Maybe from a commerce we are having. So we are having different type of decision makings, and these decision makings will become so easy when we are going to have the data visualizations. The next slides talk about research data visualization principles. Now, only making graphs, charts, diagrams is not sufficient. From here, we are going to see about or go through with the content, how the representation must be effective, how the visualization must be effective. If you can say, there are multiple color options, there are multiple type of complex information can be given to a single graph or single chart or single histograms, or we can combine multiple, any type of variables we can combine. But the matter is, data visualization are having certain principles. These principles are, when it has been going to be implemented, it become more fruitful or more what you can say representable uh, data which we can show in our research. The first, that is the principle, is right chart. What type of chart has to be implemented where? That is the very important question. Any information, when you will talk about Excel or any of the visualization tool, you can have connect any of the two variables and create a data or create a graph or diagrams. But the matter is whether you have connected these two variables correctly. That is important. And who is going to tell us which variables to be connected? Anybody? Which variables are the right chart variables? Which variables are the right chart, right for or correct variables for a chart?
Independent variable.
Independent variables. Anything else? Anything else? Dependent and independent variables. Okay. Anything else? Right chart variables.
Control factors, no?
Control factors. Okay. Or anything else? Control factors, dependent variables, independent. Anything? Both dependent and independent. Okay. Everyone is with the dependent, independent, control variables, moderating variables, mediating variables. But from where these variables come? These variables actually are the objectives. Whatever the objectives we are going to define, that has to be achieved. Again, dependent variable, independent variables, moderating variables, mediating variables, all these things we are talking in the content of analysis. Exactly. But the matter is, when we are talking about visualization, the visualization has to implement those content, those variables, which must support our findings for the objectives, what we have drafted. The objectives has to be identified with the visualization, because when we talk about data analysis, or when we are going to have the independent variables, dependent variables, or any type of variables, so why we are segregating these variables to create statistical, to implement into the statistical tool, and then to find out that particular null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, that's all. But when we talk about visualization, visualization is outcome of all the literatures, what you can say variables, all the particular analysis variables together to find out the exact outcomes. And these outcomes will be representing our objectives. If the objective is being not represented by the visualizations, the charts are not correct. We are not, because if we will talk about dependent independent variables, so SPSS is also going to make us certain graphs or like scatter plot or certain particular histograms. SPSS is making. What makes a difference? The matter is, when we are talking about outcomes, it must represent the objectives, not only the analysis part. First, the second thing, that is the simplifications. As much as simple your graphs are going to represent the charts. अच्छा, simplification doesn't mean कि हमने सिर्फ bar graph बना दिया. We have made the histograms. We have made the line graphs. That's all. Right now, the heat maps, the tree maps are much more advanced, but the matter or right now are much more in demand to implement into the research papers, or the flow charts or the models we are going to make. The matter is, whatever we are going to make, whether we are going to take the histograms, whether we are going to take the maps, whether we are going to take the any type of diagrams, it must be simplified to understand. The person who has been reading that must be easily understand that particular content, what I want to represent. Next is the label clearly. Everything has to be x-axis, y-axis, all the headings must be very clear. Sometimes we ignore these things, but again, the label must be very clear. Next is a tell a story. Again, a flow of figures, the first figure, the second figure, the third figure till the end figure, whatever we are making. It must be having a story. it must be there must be a particular flow. From the basic to advanced, we are being moving. Like that name, what मुझे ये diagram पसंद आया, so I'm making the first. Then I like this particular diagram, I'm making the second. Now this one, so I'm making the third. It is not like complete the story from the basic to advanced. You even in your research paper.
Ma'am, you have been put on mute. Kindly unmute, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Ma'am, your audio is muted.
Ma'am, your audio is muted.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Now I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Oh. Now these are the things, again, which are these are the charts which are going to be presented. Which type of database is going to require which type of chart type. Now the visualization tools for researchers, basically there are n number of websites are being there. There are n number of, we will talk about that those websites also. But there are visualization software which are being implemented right now by the researchers. Because being a researcher, we have to create a multiple charts in the same database. So we generally use these applications, these particular software in our desktops or laptops just to implement the modifications can be done with the multiple time at multiple time. The foremost visualization tool, that is the Microsoft Excel. We will be having a demo of that. Again, I know that many of the people know that how the pivot charts are being making. Pivot charts are the very easiest form of creating charts, graph, line graphs, scatter plots, and histograms, and so on. We will have a again, as we know that Microsoft is a non-coding type of software, so it is very easy to use by any of the person. Second, we are having a Power BI desktop. Power BI and Tableau. Again, these two are the basic visualization tools. Actually, it is an advanced visualization tool. When how to go with whether to go with Power BI or Tableau, it's completely up to us. But the how to identify these two things. Tableau, again, when we talk about Tableau, there's a world number one type of visualization software which has been available in the world. And on the second number, there is a Power BI desktop. Why Tableau is a worldwide? Because there are multiple operating systems in the world, and everybody is having their type of working of the desktops or laptops. So Tableau is completely applicable in any type of operating system. But when we talk about Power BI again, world second largest, or you can say the visualization tool which is being used in the world. Why Power BI is at the second? The matter is it is a Microsoft software. The second thing, that is again Power BI is only going to be what you can work on the desktops or laptops where the Microsoft Office is there, or Microsoft enabled operating system is there. That's why again it is having certain this type of criteria. But the other part is Tableau is a paid software. Power BI is a free software. You can have a Power BI anytime from your Microsoft Play Store. You can have like that, and all the time when you are going to download, you are going to get with the updated type of version of the Power BI. Again, it is very simply, recommendable, the Power BI desktop. The reason behind that is it is user friendly, it is non-coding type of software. So generally, I used to refer or prefer to recommend Power BI desktop because it will become easily available to everyone. The next one is RStudio Python. The RStudio and Python both are coding software, as we know very well. But again, being a commerce or management people, maybe we don't need to develop a code, but we must be very enough capable of understanding how the codes are being working. I think in a current scenario or in a futuristic scenario, we must be enough able to read how the codes are being working. We are not the developer, but we have the just basically. So that the R Studio is again open source software. It is again free of cost. Python, some version is of Python are free, but again, when you go with the advanced version of Python, you will have to pay. Again, these are going to create the charts, graphs for you very easily and very interactive and very different type of particular content you can identify, the charts or diagrams you can identify from these. Maybe when we talk about RStudio, for the content analysis, what I have seen, the content analysis RStudio is very well known and it is going to create a very good type of content, word cloud or other such type of content analysis. Similarly, Python is also used for such type of things. Next is SPSS, JSP. You can use like this also to create the charts, graphs, or histograms. The scatter plots are being created in SPSS. But there is a limit with this. And again, SPSS is a paid software. Now, when we talk about two tools, one is with the one database. The first one, that is Excel. This we are going to do it in Excel. I will try to show you how these things are being working. I'm having a particular database of Excel over here as a sample database. When we see this particular database, there are multiple missing values are there. There are multiple things which are being not available in the complete database. Rather than of identifying individually, once you just select the particular information, and identify the conditional formatting and to just find out where the things are nil, they are going to reflect you. When we talk about the zero, they are going to reflect you. The Excel is going to reflect you wherever the missing values are being there. Similarly, there are multiple things what we can do go with the Excel as this is, you can learn in a future. But what we are talking about the pivot table. When we want to have the pivot table, just we have to go with the insert column. Insert column when we are going to see the pivot charts. Just to create the pivot charts. Is it visible? The screen is visible? Yes. Just to create the pivot chart, we have created the pivot chart from the pivot table here from this particular tab. And when we have to create the pivot charts, just we have to collect the variables. Suppose we are going to connect age and occupation together. We can find out there is a particular chart representing this particular database, age with the occupation. Out of this particular chart, what we have identified, the count of age with the count of occupation. How many, what type of age group are having which type of occupation, it can be identified. Similarly, we can have a multiple type of charts in this within fraction of seconds in Excel. We can create multiple, we can create pie charts, we can create area charts, we can have a bar graphs. There are multiple charts we can create out of within the fraction of seconds. This is with the visualization effect, and we can even edit these content like we can give a title, we can have the different parameters of the different axes, whatever axis we are going to select, whatever content we are going to select, whatever variables we are going to select, this particular type of pivot chart is going to create a multiple or different types of charts within a fraction of seconds. Let's see it from here. Can be created within a click, and it is easily transferable. You can save from here, save as template. We can save as a template. Can save as a template from here itself, and you will be having this. We will not talk much about this particular Excel. Now we will talk about the Power BI. Again, Power BI, as I've told you, it is a software which has been already available with the Microsoft Play Store. You can download from there, or else you can just download it from uh, Google, or you can go with Google and just find out the Power BI desktop. You can find out there. This is a dashboard. This is a particular Power BI software I'm already having in my system. We are going to create a blank report. Suppose here in this, we are going to create the same sheet. Just by importing into Power BI that the same data sheet, whatever I'm having as a sample. Okay. Since I had just imported this particular database into Power BI, you can see over here all the columns, all the particular columns which we were having in Excel. It has been listed over here, all the particular factors, all the variables, as well as all the demographic factors have been listed over here. In this Power BI dashboard, this particular screen, the upper part is known as a ribbon. This particular part is having a three tabs. One is filter, visualization, and data. In below, we are having a same type of sheets or the pages like we are having on Excel. Here we are having a report view, the table view. The table view is going to show you all the database which we are having in our Excel. We are having a complete information is here. It has been imported from Excel to Power BI. Now, when we are talking about visualization currently, the charts, graphs, what we are making in our daily life or in our research papers or articles, you can see over here in the visualization tab, there are multiple types of charts, graphs which have been available, more than Excel, whatever the Excel has been providing. There are much more particular options available, and even you can download from more from the web also. Now here, all these graphs charts are again going to have a very less type of efforts or reduced fraction of times you are going to create a charts graph. Just the matter is, first you have to identify which chart or graph you want to do. Again, as a rough, I am going to take this particular stacked bar chart. When we are going to take the stacked bar chart, we have to connect with the variables. You can see over here, there is y-axis and x-axis. In x-axis, suppose I want to give, or y-axis, just I have to click on the age. It has been available on the y-axis. Just I have to click on the education. It has been available, or just you have to drag the thing into here. You can find out the things are being available in the screen, the canvas. This is the canvas. So you can see over here, there are particular charts. If suppose I don't want to keep education over here, I just want to keep occupation over here. You can click and you can just drag on that particular into the x-axis, or I just want to have the gender into it. You can see if I want to keep the gender on into x-axis, it will be available. If I want to keep the more specification, I will have this particular into the legend also. Similarly, you can have again, when we are talking about the Power BI, it is very easy to change the again the different graphs. Whatever type of graph I want, whatever type of content I want to display out of the graphs, just by clicking, you can identify the multiple types of graphs, charts at a time with the same database. You don't have to change again and again. It is going to represent, and whatever it has been suiting, whatever is matching to the easily understandable type of content, you can represent that. And again, the another thing that other than this is a table. We can have a table out of it. We can create a table. We can have this particular content into the table. Again, there are multiple modifications. This is the creation when we build visual. From here, we are going to build visual. We want to change the heading or change the particular these axis or y axis. We can move towards here. We can have the edit of the font size, the colors, the combinations, the title. We can have the change over here. So we can change the multiple things into it or modify the charts, graphs as per our needs or as per our whatever the representation we want to create. Two forms. It is very less time because this particular Power BI itself create a much more effort and time to demonstrate all the tabs because I'm a Power BI associate analyst, so I can define much more than this. But again, the matter is there is a very lack of time today. We are having only already 4 o'clock we reached. Now the next, when we come to the back to the slides, there are 2 slides. Microsoft Power Excel we have already talked about. I hope the slides are being available. We already talked about something about Power BI, how the Power BI is going to create the charts graphs. The next is common visualization mistakes to avoid. That is common visualization mistakes. Generally, we used to we just try to create very attractive charts, very attractive graphs. It is not needed actually in the research or there is a standardized research or a standardized research journals or research papers. Generally, very simple but very interesting and very representative type of graphs are in demand. The first thing that is which we must avoid that is 3D pie charts. We must not have the 3D pie charts. You must use 2D pie charts. Similarly, too many colors, very colorful graphs, very color. It is not representable. It is not correctly representing anything. It is just showing whatever options we are been getting and we are being showing. Try to use very less color, maximum up to 5 to 6 colors. That will be maximum. It will be hardly 2 to 3 colors is more than sufficient. Next is overcrowded charts, over multiple information in a particular chart. It will be not equal. And so one more thing that is if you personally cannot understand a chart in a 10 seconds, then the other particular person cannot understand that particular chart even. If you who has been making that chart must be understand your particular creation within 10 seconds, out of that, you must be enough capable of understanding what is happening in this field. Similarly, the particular person must be even capable of understanding that. That's why overcrowded chart must be avoided. Next is truncated y-axis. That means the y-axis must always going to be started with 0 rather than not any other particular options like 100, 200 or whatever. Next is missing labels. There must be no missing labels. All the labels must be informed correctly. Then the low resolution. Again, the visualization of that chart or the diagram must be very clear to the people, whether it is in a print form or it is on the screen or anywhere. And the ethics, what we have to always, we must use that is the informed consent from wherever the database we are being using. As I've told you, reputed journals like Elsewhere, Emerald, they always recommend like you must mention below statement or a note from where you have collected this information. If it is author information, you must inform at the below of the diagram or the tables or the figures, like this information is from the author, that is a raw information. So always the consent must be there. Then anonymization. Anonymization is again something like you have to anonymize always. Then the data security. The data security is your database must be having a security, like you must refer from wherever the information has been there, you have taken, and from wherever you are being passing. The database must be always secure. Then no fabrication of the data are being allowed. Then the FAIR principle, as I told you earlier also, findable, accessible, uh, irrespectable, and reusable. Next is proper attribution. The proper attributions must be utilized when we are making the graphs. And the last, that is open source software. There are various visualization software already available online, other than the Power BI, Excel, or Tableau, something like. These are the open, like you can create your charts, graphs through Canva, through Fusion Charts, through Chart.js. Google Charts are there. Even Google Trends are being going to give you the very good type of graphs. You see direct Google Trend में जाइए, just you write down your topic. They are going to give you a very good type of real-time information or a graph or charts from the Google Trend you can take. You can take from the high charts. You can draft your from your database, leaflets, diagraphs, data. There are many. There are n number of. Generally, which are being used, that is Canva. If you are a very good expert in making visualization, you can use Canva. You can go with the Google Charts or any of the other particular websites you can refer it. Thank you from my side. Any questions?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Dr. Judith Gomez, ma'am, for
Anything to
such
ask?
a wonderful and highly innovative hands-on session. Your practical demonstration and expert guidance on research data management and visualization technique have provided immense learning opportunity for all the participants. The session was truly engaging, interactive, and highly beneficial for enhancing research and analytical skill. We sincerely appreciate your valuable time, effort, and contribution to this faculty development program. As a takeaway, what we'll have is the FAIR principle. Thank you, ma'am. We shall now move into question and answer session. Participants are requested to post their questions in the chat box or raise their hand for interaction. Ma'am will address the queries from the participants. Sir, shall I continue?
Yes, we can continue. I request all the participants to please provide the feedback, and that will also be used as attendance for today's session. The link has been shared in the chat. All participants are required to please fill the feedback form. This is for our improvement as well. Thank you very much. And ma'am, you can proceed further.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. As we conclude today's session, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to both our esteemed resource person, Dr. Atul Sate and Dr. Judith Gomez, ma'am, for sharing their valuable knowledge, practical insight, and research expertise with all of us. I also extend sincere thanks to the organizers, coordinators, technical team, and all participants for their active participation and continuous support in making today's session successful. Learning is a continuous journey, and sessions like these motivate us to explore research with greater depth, innovation, and clarity. I hope today's session have added meaningful value to your academic and professional zone. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Looking forward to meet you all again in the upcoming sessions of FDP. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Sir, you are muted.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You are a wonderful host for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.